Here on Matazone HD Sportsnet, presented by the JMU Alumni Association, I'm joined by women's lacrosse head coach Shelly Claes-Baucom. Coach, a huge win this week over Penn State, not to mention the win over Richmond a week ago. Your thoughts on where the team's at right now after these last two games?
Yeah, I mean, we're really poised and composed for us to handle Penn State the way that we did. I was just really impressed with our maturity. We've come a long way. We had tied the game 4 or 5 different times before we finally took the first lead of the game with 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go. And, I think at one point in the second half, we had gone down by a 3-goal deficit, 10-7, with about 22 minutes in the game. And for us to be able to maintain our competitive spirit and, not get defeated mentally, I'm just really impressed with this team's maturity, their willingness to not give up, and to stick with the game plan, despite the score. The game of lacrosse, you never know what's going to happen. It's always changing. It's just about winning loose ball possessions and getting that one defensive stop, and that's exactly what we did to put our team in a position to compete and ultimately win the game. There were no individual standouts. It was a total team effort. I think we had our middies really dominated the scoring. Steph Finley led all scorers with 3 goals, but then Allie Kerwin, Brooks Lawler, Taylor Grass, Jackie Gordon all had 2 goals apiece. And that's, a testament to this program that we're getting production from our middies on the offensive board. So, really, really pleased with the team effort. And, I think that poise and that composure was something that we had to work through in Richmond. Richmond has an interesting ride. It's hard to get the ball up the field, and I think the first half of the Richmond game, we struggled with our decision-making and our skill, bringing the ball up the field. And in the second half, their goalie really stepped up and made it tough for us to find the back of the net, along with the zone that their defense played. And their goal was to take us out of our 1v1 game, and they did a good job of that. But despite the challenges, again, our team showed great composure to be able to work through those challenges and come out with a really great victory in 10-5 against Richmond last Friday.
You've had a solid mix of teams on the schedule throughout these first 7 games, obviously with the top 15 teams in Loyola and Penn State, but also Richmond, High Point, who's a competitor in the Big South. Through all of that, 6 wins in a row. It's tied for the second longest winning streak since you got here. What's changed from this year to this year from last year? Excuse me.
Right. You're going to hear me talk about it constantly. It's a mentality switch. Not letting our ego get too big. Really just trying to stay focused on the task at hand, one practice at a time, one opponent at a time. It's really interesting. Last year we had beaten Loyola and Penn State in really early in the season. At that point, they were ranked 5th and 7th in the country, and I think our heads just got really big. And then we went into the UConn-Rutgers swing, 2 opponents that are very good but were unranked, and we came out with losses in 1-goal games. And then we went in to play Richmond, and it was an overtime win or a 1-goal win. I can't really remember. But last year we made the mistake of allowing the opponent to motivate us. And this year, our seniors and captains have really driven into this team that the focus is on JMU. And, took from field hockey with opponent 1, opponent 2, opponent 3, and we're really trying to dig that into this team this year, that it's not about the opponent, it's about JMU coming out to play every single game. We've got to be hungry, and we got to take care of one game at a time. These wins have been great for us, and obviously we're feeling some great momentum, but there's 2 months of lacrosse to be played. We still have a whole month of non-conference opponents before we even hit our conference game, which is a whole nother month. So for us to be putting our eyes on, any postseason, any conference thoughts right now is just ridiculous. So, I'm happy to see that mentality switch in this team. They're hungry, they're on a mission, and they don't care who they have to pass to get there.
You haven't been home in a while after 3 straight on the road. You finally get to come home for 2 in a row. It starts this weekend against Rutgers, who you already said lost to last year after beating those 2 ranked teams. What's going to be the focus these next couple days going into this game?
Well, I think it's just, reminding us that the basics, the basic play, the simple play is really what's helping us to be so solid. We've had so many obstacles and challenges, whether it's been the weather, not getting practices the day before a game. We've had some injuries. We've had starters out. We had a starting midi out in Loyola and High Point. We had a starting attacker out in Penn State yesterday, for different injuries. And, every day there's going to be a different challenge, a different obstacle, and we've got to stay focused on what we can control and be willing to be flexible and make adjustments depending on what kind of comes at us. So today, we focused in on our opponent in Rutgers, figuring out ways that we can better prepare our defense for their offense. And tomorrow we'll focus in on our offense and what we need to do to be able to beat their defense. And it's just one day at a time. So I'm excited, train like a champion every day. That's our motto this year, and I'm sticking to it.
A big game coming up. JMU goes for 7 wins in a row this Saturday at 1 o'clock, back home at University Park against Rutgers, before welcoming those rivals from down south, Virginia, on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Coach, thanks so much.
And one last comment. This weekend is our Friends of Jacqueline game. We will be honoring Ellie Hattershell and the Hattershell family. She did pass away October 2013, but she's close to our hearts and dear to our hearts, and we're really excited. Come on out. It's a fundraiser for Friends of Jacqueline awareness, and we'd love to see you support the Dukes.